Hello and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for I guess it'll be Friday when we're done here, but Thursday, April 5th. Happy Rusev Day and happy birthday to my mom. And I'm your host, Donald Terriel, and joining me tonight are two other people who are not going to PAX East.
That's right.
Yes. So the first voice you heard there is Justin Brube.
What's up?
And Justin has some very, very long things to say, but we'll get into that later on in the show.
Yeah.
And also joining us tonight from Alaska, a man who's hepped up on everything, Zach Miller. Zach, are you there?
We lost Zach already.
We seem to have mislaid Zach's audio. Oh. Anyway, we'll.
Okay, good.
Yep, you're good now.
Oh, okay.
Back.
Hi.
Yeah, a little bit of echo there, but we'll fix it in post. Yeah. So the big story of the week, given that seemingly everything got announced earlier today, is actually something that didn't get announced for Switch, but there may be a reason for that. So for weeks now, there have been rumors that a Spyro collection of the three Spyro the Dragon games from the PlayStation would come out from Activision, similar to the Crash Bandicoot thing they released on PS4 last year, and that'll be coming out on the Switch in July. And they finally did announce the Spyro the Dragon collection today for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So none of this one-year exclusivity thing.
Is it the same dev?
I believe Toys for Bob is involved in the port for this one. Insomniac did actually acknowledge that because they've got their own game coming out around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that'll be on September 21st. The weird part about it is that the announcement specifically ignored the Switch. There was no mention of it, and they developed, both Activision and Toys for Bob, the developer, have had no comment about it at this time. So my question is, do you think it's truly just not coming to Switch, or is it something that maybe Nintendo wants to announce it themselves down the road, maybe at E3 or something?
It's that.
Maybe Nintendo will announce it at E3, and guess what? Spyro's coming to Smash too.
If you're going to put any of those PlayStation mascots into Smash Brothers, I would think it would be Crash Bandicoot or maybe Lara Croft. Honestly, I think
Has there been a Tomb Raider game on Nintendo?
There's been
Tomb Raider Underworld was on the Wii and suffered for it.
Yeah, and I think there's been I could have sworn there was one on the GameCube. I may be misremembering though.
Oh, maybe Angel of Darkness.
Yeah,
that's around that time.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Donald, because Activision never said anything about Crash Bandicoot coming to Switch, even though they've probably known for a while. But Nintendo wants to be the one to say in a direct, we've got Crash Bandicoot coming. So I assume it's going to be the same thing with Spyro.
Yeah, and now, I mean, the only reason they didn't talk about Crash previously until about March was because I believe Sony had like a 1-year exclusivity on deal with that, which is why it's coming out in July, when theoretically that thing could probably come out tomorrow and nobody would notice. But with Spyro, I'm sort of ascribing this to a sort of conspiracy theory that Guillaume actually proposed on Twitter earlier today. Basically, are publishers holding back news of Switch versions because the furor over the lack of a Switch port is free marketing for them, so that they get extra juice when it does actually come out on Switch? Because I know for most of my Twitter feed this morning, it was like, wait, this isn't coming to Switch? What's going on here?
It's an interesting theory. I mean, all PR is good PR, I guess, but it's certainly not great PR for the developers or the publishers.
Yeah. And I mean, we've learned over the years or over the last year or so that Switch fans are kind of crazy,
Hmm.
like demanding everything be on Switch, like it used to be with the Vita.
And
And
it better have a good icon.
yeah, to this day, I still do not understand the fear over Switch icons. Like I'm the one who wants Snake Pass to go back to its old one, for instance,
Hmm.
just
Maybe,
because that's what.
yeah, maybe they could start selling different icons as DLC.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll work just fine. But yeah, I think it's probably true because they'll get a second basically announcement bump if they do announce a Switch version, or maybe it's just coming later and they want to focus on this version, these PS4 and Xbox One versions for now. But we'll probably like I said, if there's another direct between now and E3, we may see something in that, or we may just may get announced at E3, and
Yeah.
it's probably come out around the same time or a little bit later.
I think it's interesting that these long in the tooth Sony icons uh, are now kind of going the way of Sonic. They're console agnostic now.
Well, I mean, because I know Sony published they published Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, but I think the IP rights for those actually went to the original developers.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they, because I don't think they really, because Sony, Sony, the PlayStation was the first system that really got by without a mascot that was
Right.
fully owned by the first parties.
That's true.
I mean, you could probably say that the mascot of the PS1 ended up being Cloud Strife for all the good that did them.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true.
So, because I know that, I think it went through how it ended up with Activision is that they started being published by Universal when Vivendi owned Activision, and then I think Activision acquired those rights when they split off from Vivendi and became their own studio a few years back,
Oh,
which is how Spyro ended up being the lead character in Skylanders.
interesting. Huh. Would not have thought that, but makes sense.
Yeah, because I distinctly remember like there was something with Universal publishing Crash games on Nintendo platforms for a while,
Hmm.
and Vivendi owns that outright.
Well, then Justin's prediction may well come true. We might see one of these characters in Smash.
I think it's possible. Would I want Spyro and Smash? Not really, but I think there'd be some appeal there, especially for all those kids who played Skylanders for all those years.
But I'd rather have Crash. But yeah. I mean, it would be cool. Then we'd have a Sonic mascot and a Sony mascot in a Nintendo game. Although we already have Cloud Strife in Smash, so
Yeah, there you go. I think Sony's pretty much covered.
And then you got to get Nintendo to produce and basically publish Amiibo for all of them.
true.
Yeah, maybe
that's for the Crash one. Just kind of put a different computer chip on the one that's already out there for Skylanders.
Hell, they could do that for Spyro too. Like, wasn't he
Yeah.
the first? Like, he was the first one. So
Yeah.
they could do the dual mode thing like they did with Donkey Kong and Bowser back in like 2015.
Yes.
And Dark Donkey Kong and Dark Bowser.
Yeah.
Did anybody really have Dark Bowser? Like, wasn't that exclusive to the Wii version of Skylanders that year?
I think so.
I think so.
I got him.
I've never seen the dark ones in the wild, but I was able to get both the Bowser and the Donkey Kong at I think it was Toys R Us.
Yeah, I got
when they
him.
were having a massive sale on Toys to Life toys. I got both games for like a total of $10, and I just wanted the amiibos.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they sold the Amiibo separately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did have separate packs for
Oh,
regular Bowser.
not at my Toys R Us. It's the same reason I bought that terrible Wii U Animal Crossing game was just for the amiibos for $5.
Yeah, and By the way, have you seen like I think what you said was that the Toys R Us video game deals are still at like the 10% stage, but they're still mostly cleaned out.
No, not at mine. I mean, they're 10% off at mine, but they're still got a healthy supply.
Yeah, I think for most people, 30% is going to be the breaking point.
Yeah, 30% is probably where I'll jump in on Monster Boy and that Me Fighter 3-pack.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get there early enough because, you know, this is the first day that's happening. There's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I know. I went there just the other day as soon as I got out of the hospital, really, which is sad. But the video game section had been not cleaned over at all. I mean, people were not caring.
Because 10% off isn't really a deal considering.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all.
20% off your new games.
And none of the amiibos, of all the Toys to Life toys they had, none of the amiibos had any discount at all, which is weird.
The amiibos or the last toy standing, as it turned out.
So I'm gonna play the waiting game. I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah. Good point from Cherry Goblin in the chat regarding the insanity of Switch fans. Switch fans also hate the 3DS for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get that either. It's a good system. I love it.
I think most of it comes from, one, the resolution, and two, they don't want to carry two systems around at the same time.
I mean, the resolution is terrible, but like it's been terrible for 7 years.
Yeah, like the hue and cry that I see whenever people complain about the 3DS still getting games into 2019. It's like this was old tech in 2011. Why are they still supporting it? And
you don't have to buy those games.
Yeah, like I mean, hell, like we said multiple times on this show, I think the Switch is still twice the price of a new 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, here now it's less because for whatever reason the new 2DS XL is doing the price free fall thing on Amazon right now.
Ooh.
So
you buy like 3 or 4 2DSs for the price of a Switch.
You can get at least 2 and still have enough left over to buy a couple of games.
Nice.
And that's why the 3DS family of systems still exists.
Yeah.
And it makes money. That too.
Yeah. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, and you could probably see from the episode title, PAX East opened today, which is why Alex and Neil are not here, because last I saw they were getting, I think they were hanging out with the developers of Slime Sand, among others.
Oh.
And Neil was apparently the oldest person in the room, which
I saw that.
Which I think makes it all feel very old.
Yeah. I was not able to go this year due to the tax man, but I'm very jealous of those guys. PAX East is such a fun show every year. I'm going to be at the Jeopardy segment in spirit because I wrote all the questions.
Or the Nintendoware?
Or Nintendoware, sorry. Yeah. So enjoy some trolling. Hopefully they record it.
And actually, for those of you who are following Neil on Twitter, you might have saw last night that he posted the audio for the 2016 edition of Nintendoware, which I believe you wrote most of the questions for as well.
I write most of the questions every year.
Yeah, I did a set last year, and it's tough. Like when you're writing at that point, you're trying to find okay, is this evil enough to be worth like the 32,000 or whatever? Right. And the $1 million ones, we just don't give a damn anymore.
Oh no, I make them. Those are the fun ones to write.
Those are the ones where Neil just points at the screen and says, "Yeah, read that."
Yep. That's what's going to be this year.
Yeah, it is a hard balancing act when you think about it, because you have no idea the age or the knowledge of the contestants going into it.
Right.
So. Like I think the best performer Nintendoware has ever had was like a 12-year-old kid, and I think and remember, and I was there last year in the writer's pit. And it's like, and we got the 12-year-old, and didn't he get a question about an M-rated game at one point?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. And he got it right.
Yeah. And then he went out on a question about 90s TV franchises that went out on
That's
Super
right.
Nintendo.
Yes, that's true. I just remember this will stay in my head forever because this kid was kind of a, how would you put it, theatrical, maybe, kind of
Yeah.
had an ego on him. And at one point he said, like, when do you get to the hard questions? And like the very next question was some ridiculously obscure hardware question. And somebody in the audience yelled, "How's that for you?"
Yeah, one of these years, I'm hoping I can get back next year myself. I just wasn't sure what the work situation was going to be when this whole thing started. So maybe I can get down there next year, and maybe we get Justin to come along and do the whole Nintendo News Report thing live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And then, in fact, why don't we just do a People Against Breath of the Wild hour-long segment? And we all...
That'll be a panel. It'll just be you complaining for an hour about
Who's with
Breath
me?
of the Wild.
the breath. What do we call this? The Breath of the Wild 2-minute hate, which somehow gets stretched to an hour because, well, anyway.
Exhibit Z.
Oh God, we could turn it into a whole court case and everything.
I could. That'd be fun.
Justin's the prosecutor, Neil's the defense attorney, and at some point somebody yells objection.
I like that idea.
All right, but there were some game announcements that were tied to the opening of PAX East, as we pretty much expected there would be. Probably the biggest one for this show, I think, is going to be Battle Chasers Night War. Remember that game that got announced for Switch in a direct about this time last year?
Yeah.
That is finally has a release date on Switch. It'll be out on May 15th.
That's pretty quick. They, I know they've had some trouble getting the Switch version to work. I don't know. But I'm excited for that game because the battle system looks really cool. It looks like kind of an evolution of the Final Fantasy VII battle system. But I love Joe Mad's art. Joe Mad is great. He did all the art for Darksiders 1 and 2. So if you like that style, this game's right up your alley.
Yeah, it seemed intriguing. I think it's going to be like $40 when it launches, and I don't think the price has gone down that much for the PS4, Xbox One, etc. versions.
Oh, maybe not.
And it will also be in stores, so like it'll have a physical versions, which is probably a good thing given the size of that RPG.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've been waiting for it for a while, and I think even it was on sale on PSN at one point for maybe 10 or 15 bucks off, but I was like, no, I'm going to get it on Switch whenever that happens. So I'm glad I waited.
Yeah. Another announcement. This one probably more near and dear to my heart. Firewatch is coming to Switch. The game with the second best trophy set on PlayStation Network, behind only Undertale, will be out sometime in the spring. Price TBA, but I believe it's 20. I want to say it's about 25 on the other platforms, so probably 2025. So probably something in that range.
Wow.
It is a narrative adventure game done by the people at Campo Santo, who they had that Valley of the Gods game that got showed off last year at the Game Awards, and they are largely headed by former Telltale staff who actually worked on The Walking Dead season 1.
Oh.
So
have you played this game?
I think I'm in a similar situation to what you did with Battle Chasers. Like I saw it get really cheap on PlayStation Network, but I just didn't bite, but I might take a swing at it on Switch. If nothing else, I want to see how well these type of games handle on the Switch.
Yeah, I've heard very varying opinions on this one.
These type of games tend to attract very varied opinions, is the thing.
That's true. That's true. I could not stand Gone Home. I felt like I was cheated in the end. So, but a lot of people love it.
Yeah.
So
your mileage or kilometerage, if you prefer, will vary, obviously.
Yep.
And no word on physical for that one, but I wouldn't be surprised if that gets a limited run release of some kind down the
Oh
road.
yeah, it did on the other platforms.
Yeah. And I guess the last big game announcement of the week is actually the newest game from 13 AM, the makers of the people what brought you Runbow.
Right, right.
Yes, Double Cross, a spy based, or I guess police based intergalactic adventure game will be coming out probably will be coming out in the summer on Switch and PC. And yeah, that I saw the trailer for that when it went up on Tuesday. Looks very interesting and looks very much like a more focused version of the gameplay will feel much like probably a focused version of Runbow.
Yeah, the platforming looks great. I'm just not a fan of the art style. It looks really simplistic.
Mm. I don't want to invoke the name of Aaron Esurance here, but I don't know. I'm kind of getting that vibe about it.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Kind of a Kim Possible. Yeah, and normally I like that style, but wasn't really doing it for me. I think it's because all the characters were so small. Did you notice that? Everyone was itty bitty.
Yeah. I think once we get when they get more into the adventure and the multiple paths portions of it, they'll probably maybe have bigger sprites and be more fleshed out at that time, but
Okay.
we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Although I think we'll probably be able to get impressions of that sometime over the weekend or next week, because we've got it's playable at PAX East and we've got people on the floor there that have played it. So
Nice. And Runbow is coming soon to the Switch, I think.
It'll be, I think, in 2 weeks.
Great game.
Great game, and maybe the online will last more than 2 weeks now.
Yeah, well, if I recall, Runbow came out a little before Smash.
No, it was like, I think it was like late August of 2015, so Smash was out for like 6 or 8 months at that point.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we all just didn't play it.
No, Mario Maker is what got it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they put some distance between it. So let's hope that does better for them.
Yeah.
It's a darn fine video game. So unless we want to go into Shaq Fu coming to Switch in June, God help us all.
I'm kind of happy that's happening. I mean, Shaq Fu is like this game with a legacy. So I'm glad.
A legacy of being of a quality that I don't think I can say on this show.
No, those games do have a place in history, in my opinion.
Yes, they do.
And I'm kind of happy whatever this new one will be, which doesn't seem like it's going to be great. At least I'm okay with that nod.
Well, and if you're one of the people that bought NBA Playgrounds at launch, congratulations, you're getting a free copy of Shaq Fu.
We're sorry.
We're sorry, so we'll give you something even worse.
I mean, especially these days, I think Shaq is more prevalent than he has been in a long time. He's just about in every commercial. So it's time for Shaq Fu.
Well, it's hard to get more prevalent than what Shaq was in the 90s when he was in movies and doing rap albums. Of course he was going to get a video game.
True.
But anyway, that's more than Shaq Fu probably deserves. So yeah. So let's get into a bit of what we're playing here. And I think Justin, you've got probably one of the more interesting things here that's actually available now.
Yeah, I've been playing a couple of the Arcade Archives games. I'll do probably the one less people know about first, which is Moon Patrol. I forget who made this. I think it was Irem.
Yeah.
But actually, for the first time I ever played this game was 2 months ago in an arcade, and it kind of hooked me there. And I had no idea it was coming to Switch till one day I heard, "Hey, Moon Patrol is out now on Switch Arcade Archives." So I said, "Okay, cool, I got it." Yeah, it's a fun game. You basically move a car. You can control the speed a little bit by going forward or backward. It's almost like a platforming shooting game where you're continually moving forward in the car. You have to jump over pits and other objects and shoot different spaceships up in the sky. And I guess the hook about it is you really have to pay attention to what's in front of you as well as what's in the sky. kind of like maneuver around everything all at once. So it kind of divides your attention into two different places, and you just have to be prepared to act almost at all times. And it's a high score game, so if you kind of know where that goes. But I mean, it's fun. It's kind of addictive. But the other probably bigger release for Nintendo fans is the arcade version of Punch Out, which I am writing the review for Nintendo World Report. I'm hoping to have it up by Monday. But yeah, it's I actually own the arcade cabinet for this.
Really?
Yes, it's a little bit beat up, but I do own a Punch Out arcade cabinet. It's the only arcade cabinet I own. I got it for I think $200 on Craigslist.
Damn!
Maybe like 9-10 years ago. So I'm like, yeah, this is a good deal. Yeah, it does need work. I will admit it does, but it still functions. But anyway, Punch Out's a neat game, especially for 1984. I think the graphics are probably some of the best from any arcade game in that year. I went looking at some other arcade games from that same year, and nothing really comes close from what I've seen. It has huge sprites, has a 2-screen display, which the game gives you multiple options to output that on the Switch. You can have them side by side or stacked on top of each other on the little screen, or actually do Tarte mode, or whatever that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to do it. But it's kind of annoying to how you have to balance the screen up. So I don't prefer to do that way. I mean, that's the most accurate. If you can set your TV up that way, that'd be amazing.
I could see maybe with a computer monitor that you could rotate it.
Well, I know some people may have like wall mounts or something. You could pull the TV off and maybe turn it or something. I don't know. I don't know what the limitations on those are, or I've never had that. I know some people do have that where you could pull it off. I don't know if you can rotate it as well, but that would be awesome to do that.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if we mentioned it on the show here, but I know Jeremy Parrish of Retronauts fame. He's actually developed a Switch grip that will stack the system, that will basically force the system to play in Tate mode. So that'll be coming in through Fangamer this year. I don't recall the release date offhand, but that's definitely something worth grabbing for if you're really going to get into Punch Out.
Yeah, it's
Pinball Arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that would really be the best way to experience this game, in my opinion, because it gives you the most screen real estate and is the most accurate to the original version. But one thing that is kind of weird about this version, which I noticed, is when I was playing, I heard a voice clip that I never heard on my actual machine, where someone, I guess from the crowd, screams, "Kick his ass!"
Really?
And I go, that's odd. And then I started looking around what other people had to say, and apparently this is the Japanese version of the game, which is almost identical, except I think there's some extra voice clips, including that one, and the 10 count is faster, but that doesn't really affect the gameplay because it's just speeding up basically a pointless long part of the game.
Did they retain Vodka Drunkenstein's name?
I think he's in Super Punch Out, the arcade game, which is the sequel, which came out I think a year later. So he's not in this one.
Okay.
But yeah, everyone else is there. Pizza Pasta, Mr. Sandman, Kid Quick, Glass Joe, one of the Hondas, I think.
Probably Piston Honda, yeah.
Not Pistons. I think it's a different Honda. I forget. But yeah, they're all there.
So if you like Punch Out, is this a game you should get?
I think it is, but you have to go into it understanding it is a high score game. You're never going to get to the end. After you beat everybody, you become the world champion, then it's title defense mode, and everybody gets harder when you face them again.
Oh, like the Wii game.
Yeah, kind of like that. They don't have like ridiculous things attached to them and whatnot. It's still a fair fight, I guess, but it's much harder.
and you don't get to face the uber surprise boss at the end if you manage to beat everybody in there.
No, but Donkey Kong, Mario, and Donkey Kong Jr. aren't in this game. They're in the crowd, if you look carefully. So Donkey Kong, this is where Donkey Kong had his boxing roots, I guess, which is why it appears in Punch Out on Wii.
I think it's interesting that all these early Nintendo games post Donkey Kong, the character you see is Donkey Kong Jr. Like in Super Mario Kart, it's not Donkey Kong on a cart, it's Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Jr. was used a lot more, I guess, up until around the time Donkey Kong Country came out, and then
Yeah,
they started using Donkey Kong with the tie more. But I think Donkey Kong Jr. still had some appearances, but
yeah.
not as many.
I think my headcanon is that Donkey Kong Jr.'s father died, and Cranky Kong is basically the original Donkey Kong who kidnapped Pauline.
There you go. I like that.
But yeah, Punch Out is a fun game. I do recommend it if you're a Punch Out fan. There is some challenge to it until you start learning the character's moves, so you might be frustrated at first, but I guess that goes with any Punch Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the original Punch Out. I'm hoping Super Punch Out eventually makes its way onto Switch as well, because at this point they basically have the whole framework, and I think Super Punch Out was available as its own cabinet back in the day, or a conversion for the Punch Out arcade machine. So,
Oh,
but there is one weird thing about Super Punch Out. I've never played it, but I heard you could lift the stick out of the machine, and that's how you do like a ducking maneuver, because there's no way to duck in the original version of Punch Out.
oh,
So yeah, it could use that weird ducking mechanic, and I guess you could do the clicking of the stick to replicate that.
hmm,
So it can be done.
cool.
It's a fun game. You should check it out if you're into high score games or Punch Out.
Yeah.
Full review coming on Monday with a lot more details.
Yeah. All right. So the other main thing that I know Zach is playing, I know you can't really talk about this in a reviewing context here for another couple of weeks or so, but I understand you've been playing Galgun 2.
Yes, I've been playing Galgun 2. I have Galgun 1 on Vita. I haven't spent more than maybe 20 minutes with it. I don't have the sequel, Double Peace. And this game should be called Galgun 3, but it's not. It's Galgun 2. I like all the parts of the game that aren't jailbaity. God. This isn't this isn't a review context. I'm just telling you what's in the game. So what you do is it's a stationary shooter. You look in a 360-degree, up and down, left and right arc, and schoolgirls run towards you, amorous schoolgirls, and you shoot them with this gun until they kind of go, oh, and then, fall down, disappear. I don't know where they go, but they disappear. And some of the girls have little chibi demons attached to their shoulders or head. And the point of the game is to pop those off the girl and then, hit her to make her go away. And then you have like a vacuum that sucks up the chibi demons. That's all fine. And then there are these long story sequences in between missions with a lot of dialogue trees. But there is a part of the game where one of the girls asks you to exorcise her body of demons. And you do this by poking her virtually until you find a spot where demons are. And then you poke her a lot and all the demons fly out and you vacuum them up. But she's like, she's making some jailbaity noises in addition to jailbaity dialogue. And if you shoot her, if you get rid of enough demons, her clothes pop off. She's still in bra and panties, but they're all underage high school girls. So, you know what I'm saying?
I thought that one sequence in one of the Danganronpa spin-off shooter that was on Vita a couple years ago was bad, but this sounds like, and don't forget, and for those who've forgotten, Galgun is the same series that once sold $100 DLC to take all of the clothes off, or to at least make
I forgot about that. That's fucked up. It's also developed by Inti Creates,
yeah,
which is even weirder. In fact, I think Blaster Master Zero, one of the DLC characters, is from Galgun.
Yeah, same with like the Mighty Gun Volt Burst.
Right. So I really don't know what to think about Galgun 2. I like all the parts that aren't borderline. I don't know what you'd call it. Pervy.
Borderline, why don't you have a seat right over there?
Right. Borderline, you have to start introducing yourself to the neighborhood. And it's weird because I really like the Senran Kagura games. Largely because they're tongue in cheek, but these are high school and college age girls shredding their clothes off each other. But I think the difference there is that they're the ones doing it to each other. Like they have agency. They're all very powerful fighters. But in Galgun 2, I mean, it seems really exploitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I expected, based on what little exposure I had to the original Galgun game that came out, I think on I want to say at least the Vita version a couple years ago. I don't recall the female characters in that game being, jailbait.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them
I don't know if these sequences are in the other Galgun games.
Yeah, and they made the attempt to pretend that they were 18, and some of them were certainly mature enough to look 18.
Okay.
As far as Japan goes, but yeah, this one treading a little too close to that line for my comfort.
Like when one of them's clearly a lolly, that's where I kind of start gritting my teeth. And look, it would be one thing if those sequences were optional, and some of them are, but some of them are like story missions that you have to do.
How's the plot?
There isn't really a plot. The plot is there's an angel who is bad at her job, and she needs you to get rid of all these chibi demons from high school. And you have a friend across the yard who is a shut-in, and you have a classmate at school who you like, and then there's this angel who's sticking around with you, and it's kind of Donald, what are those animes called where it's a guy and all the girls are going after him?
Harem.
It's a harem situation, which I also don't like. This game is pressing a lot of my buttons. Let's put it that way. I really don't know what to do about it.
The general chat room reaction seems to be bail out. What Justin's in there asking what podcast am I on? And yeah, Cherry Goblin, I am curious how this game managed to get localized.
Right?
But I think this will now officially shut down the argument that Nintendo does any censorship to third-party games anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what.
They let this through.
If they let this through, this is where all of your Vita waifu games are going to wind up.
Well, I mean, they let it through. We've got a release date for it. It's out the 24th, and you've got a review code. Yeah, and you've got you got the review code when last week?
Something like that while I was in the hospital, and the review embargo ends on the 11th, so you can all read about it right after that. But I mean, I think honestly, I think we're going to start seeing like Sega Hard Girls and Neptunia and what other messed up Vita specific waifu games there are.
Maybe this is how we get Danganronpa on the Switch, but God, I hope they don't bring Ultra Despair Girls over. If that's
God. So yeah, that's Galgun. I mean, everything's great except that part.
Yeah,
but it's a big part.
And I don't think they're patching it out anytime soon.
I doubt it. It's almost better than the. I just reviewed Metropolis Lux Obscura for the Switch, which is a motion comic with a match 3 puzzle game for fights, and it's got like surprisingly graphic nudity and sex scenes. Like, you see hair. I
Down
wasn't
there.
really cool with that either.
What kind of games are you playing over there?
Dude, I don't know.
Because I mean, we Zach's proclivities for these things are well documented,
Yes,
but
yes.
like, so we figure we send him the sexy time games and see what happens. I mean, you send that to me, I'm probably the most asexual person on staff, so it'd be like what the hell is all this?
This is an educational experience for me because I'm finding out where a lot of my lines in the sand are.
You should write a feature about that, Zach.
Yeah, I probably should. I'm okay with I'm okay with that. Shoot, that game, Bride of the New Moon, Azure Knights 2. I'm okay with Azure Knights 2. I'm okay with that Fate game, Fate Extella. I'm okay with Senran Kagura. I'm not okay with this.
Sexy poker, okay?
Yeah, I know. Oh, jeez. I wish that when you took a screenshot on your Switch, I wish it captured the look on my face in the reflection, because it's just
like sort of like
abject horror,
like the crash cam in Burnout Paradise or something.
Yeah.
I just got to point out that now not only is Galgun 2 banned in Germany, but so is this podcast. So I think we need to move on.
Is it banned in Germany?
Yes, Don is
Yeah. Wow.
And really, you probably shouldn't be surprised by that. So I have no idea now how I'm supposed to transition to the thing that I've been playing recently. So I'm just going to say it. I've been playing Detective Pikachu.
Do you at any point have to poke his body in unmentionable places?
No, but the closest I've had to that so far is I did have to have a adult woman give me her belt to solve a puzzle.
That's something.
But I'm assuming because basically the part that I was dealing with was I was stuck in a cave and we needed to use the Drifblim Pokemon, the large balloon flying Pokemon.
The one that steals children?
No, this is what happens when Drifloon grows up.
Okay.
So we need to get him out of there, but we don't have enough wind. So I need to make a pickaxe out of a busted sign, a rock, and what turned out to be a leather belt, which a female who was trapped in the cave with my character was wearing at the time. So we use that, and then there's nothing in there. Like there's no nudity because it's a Pokemon game. What do you expect? Right. But yeah, so I'm a couple hours into it so far. The voice, although it's not Ryan Reynolds, it's pretty good voice acting.
Danny DeVito?
No.
Okay.
No, and the voice acting is pretty good. Although I can still hear Pikachu saying, "Hey Tim," because Tim's your main character in my head now. And the puzzles are a little on the LucasArts to Sierra scale. They tend to lean a little bit more toward the Sierra side, like the part where you have to make the pickaxe out of the things you find in the cave.
Yeah.
But mostly it's a lot of talking to people and using that to solve puzzles. Like, I need to get a necklace back from a girl. It was apparently stolen by a Murkrow, and then they dropped it after a fight with a Poochyena, which is little dog Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire, and then the bug type Burmy, who uses trash as its cloak, used the necklace as his cloak. That's the kind of logic that we're dealing with.
Pokemon logic.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know what kind of a game this was. I assumed it was more like Ace Attorney, but with Pokemon. But you make it sound like it's more like a point-and-click adventure game with Pokemon.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. Yeah, it's a point-and-click adventure. maybe we'll get more into the Phoenix Wright stuff as I unlock more of the plot, because we've already had one incident where I had to where a quick time event caused me to save some people from a berserk Pokemon,
Mm.
which I'm assuming is what leads Mewtwo into the story at some point.
Ooh.
But yeah, so far it's just more because there's two sort of stories going along at the same time. One of trying to find the main character's father. I have a theory about where this is going, but I'm not going to say it, and it's probably complete bunk anyway. And the other being the Berserk Pokemon.
Hmm. Maybe the developers watched Zootopia recently.
Possibly. I mean, they had plenty of time between when the first story came out in Japan digitally and when this version of it came out for the rest of the world.
I was kidding, but wow.
There was like 2 years.
Oh, so now I'm kind of interested in this game, especially if it's my avenues towards getting amiibo are shrinking rapidly up here. A lot of
Right.
stores, including GameStop, appear to be trying to unload all of their amiibo very quickly.
Yeah.
I have not seen the Pikachu in the wild, but if I can get the giant amiibo with the game, and I know it is bundled with it, the game doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, and there was a demo that came out in Japan about a month before this package released. It's now out in the rest of the world, so you can try the game first to see if it's worth chasing down that Pikachu and the game.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think you just said that the Pikachu is bundled with the game, but it's not in North America.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, and I think in the press release they announced about it. They called it like a super limited edition Meebo or
Oh,
something
Jesus.
like that.
Although I did hear a report, I believe on the Giant Bombcast this week, that somebody bought the giant Pikachu at Target. So
Oh,
if that's an option and you can find it in the sea of 8-bit links, then yeah.
yeah.
The only thing is I have not figured out how to actually use that Pikachu for hints, which is what it's designed for.
Oh, interesting. There's never like a amiibo icon popping up.
Yeah, there's nothing in the UI that I can see that would directly point to, hey, you can use an amiibo here.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it may just be something as simple as tap it on the screen and obscure the entire screen.
That's cool. I want that game now. I really just want that amiibo. Oh God, we lost. There he is.
No, sorry, I didn't want to cough into the track here.
Oh,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, so we have a review up on Nintendo World Report for that. Brian Rose reviewed it for us. I think he ended up at a 7 on it. So that if that's any indication, but if you're more into Pokemon and seeing them sort of in a fashion that you wouldn't normally see them in, then yeah, give it a shot. Try the demo, see if it agrees with you, and it's probably going to be one of the best-selling games on 3DS this year. So
And
Oh,
it's going to get a boost next year, I believe, when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Although I would not be shocked if they ported the game to Switch next year to take advantage of that.
Yeah, maybe I'll wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's see if we've calmed the chat room down here.
I'm scarred for Nintendo News Report Live.
Questions from the chat. Don actually correcting me there. You can't use the Pikachu for hints. You unlock the Pika prompts. We'll take that offline, Don. And Dale, no, we did not get the cereal amiibo up here, which is a shame. Yeah,
US exclusive.
Yeah, I thought I probably should have had somebody pick it up and ship me a box, but I can't eat the cereal, so what's the point?
I may still be able to. I saw some on shelves the other day, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I cut the amiibo part out of the box. You can have it. It doesn't do shit.
What does it just give coins?
Yeah.
It does count as its own amiibo, though, because I think when you scan it in Odyssey, it says this is a delicious amiibo or something.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So if you want to unlock that cereal box trophy in Smash Brothers. You might want to hang on to that.
That's true too.
Yeah, that is such a Nintendo thing to do.
Maybe Mario's cereal will be a fighter in Smash.
Alternate costume, the cereal system.
Yeah.
Would it have Nintendo? Would it have Mario moves or Zelda moves though? Because remember, there was two sides to that box.
I thought it was Donkey Kong and Mario.
No, it was Mario and Zelda, but there's also a Donkey Kong and maybe even a Donkey Kong Jr. cereal before all of that. Before my time.
Okay, I'm getting my Nintendo cereal systems mixed up.
Yeah, because the one I recall, it had like there was a Mario was like the fruity cereal and Zelda was a berry cereal.
Oh.
But then again, I never saw that up here either. Of course.
I had it back in the 80s.
Yeah, and I would have been like 5 at the time, and I was not in the position to be buying cereal at age 5.
I still have my real Ghostbusters glow-in-the-dark cereal box. So,
ooh.
I should get rid of that. It's probably kind of rare.
Yeah. To the eBay, but yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, depending on how you did that. Things to plug. Again, we've got all kinds of news up on the site now from spawned out of PAX East. We'll probably have some video going up over the next few days and weeks from PAX East as well, and also some reviews. I don't think we're going to get a video review for Galgun 2, but that's probably a good thing.
You know what's funny is Neil asked, I think, John to help me with a video review, but I'm going to recommend that doesn't happen.
I don't want us to get thrown off the site.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to support the site that supports us, you can go to patreon.com/NWR, where we'll have the rough cut of the audio for the show, and also that 2016 Nintendoware. Yeah,
baby.
Back before the Switch happened and everything changed forever. And we are also on iTunes. Once we get Alex back, we'll see if there's any more reviews that need his attention. If you want to bug us individually on Twitter, Zach is at zmiller1902. You can go there for all your dinosaur and certain sized women needs.
Of age women. Yes. Legal women.
You made it this far. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, Justin is on Twitter at King Nintendo Fan and on Instagram at King Nintendo Fanboy for all your Nintendo merchandise needs.
Which reminds me, are now Barbie shirts with Mario on it you could buy. So look for those.
Yes, and I'm on Twitter at Donald Mick. I do another podcast on the side, No Free Time Radio. We just posted our Game of the Year show this week. Here's my winner.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Well, it was the highest scoring I gave to a game all year, Zach. And it took me a year, but I finally got the PS3 version of it.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, but that is the show. Thank you very much. Have a good night, and may God have mercy on us all.
Body blow.